Hey, this is Life with Sean Renee here, back with another video. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. This video is about I don't talk to my mom because she tried to off me, take me out, unalive me. Let's watch the video.
I don't talk to my mother because she tried to off me.
I watched that two-part story, so you don't have to. That's Ida, and she's telling us the story of her biological mother and how she accused her of sleeping with her stepfather. So Ida tells us that she is not very close with her biological mother at all. They're very much so no contact. Her parents got divorced when she was really young, and so the first memory she actually ever has is of her stepmother walking into the house pregnant with her younger sister. And so she calls her stepmother mom, and she calls her biological mom. But we're gonna give them names. We're gonna call her stepmother, who's the woman that raised her, Monica, and we're gonna call her biological mom, Ruby. So Ruby, her biological mother, has 4 children altogether, including her and her brother. And then her father has 5 children altogether, obviously 2 of them including her and her brother. When her parents got divorced, her father ended up having a child with her stepmother Monica shortly after that, and then her biological mother Ruby ended up getting with her stepfather, who we're gonna name Howard. They ended up having another daughter as well, and we're gonna name that youngest daughter Chelsea. Ida tells us that her stepfather has actually been in jail a majority of her childhood. Over 15 years he was in and out of prison. She does have memories as a child going with her biological mother Ruby to the jail to go see her stepfather. Something that was interesting is the fact that Ida is very much a daddy's girl, while her brother is very much a mommy's boy, and he loves Ruby. He cannot see any wrong in her. So then Ida decided her senior year of high school she was going to try to reconnect with her biological mother, right? So she tried, and it just didn't pan out the way she wanted it to. And her brother obviously was like pushing her like, yo, we're family, like you got to figure it out. But she's like, it's not me. She felt like every situation was pointed out to make her look like she did something to like cause her mother to like react in a way that obviously, you know, Ida didn't like. But Ida was like, I didn't do anything. She was like, this woman truly has it out for me. So fast forward, we're in August 2021, and at this time, Ida's working at a car dealership. She said she was making the most money she had ever made in her life at that time, and she was really enjoying herself. She lived like down the street away from her biological mom, Ruby, at the time. And she's just like minding her business, she's working. She ends up going on a like little vacation with her coworkers, and she's out of town. So she's like doing her thing. They're like getting ready to go to a pool party, and all of a sudden she starts getting text messages from her mother, and her mother is like, I'm coming for you and the rest. And Ida's like, what are you talking about? Ida's like, oh, maybe Ruby's mad because I'm on vacation, I'm out of town, I know my brother's out of town as well, and we didn't really tell her, so maybe that's why she's upset, right? She's like, what are you talking about? She's like, don't worry, I'm coming to you. And Ruby's like, what are you doing? Like, you're ruining my trip. Like, what do you want? She goes, oh, I'm gonna ruin a lot more than your trip. And then Ida tells her, like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna stop responding. That's when Ruby replies back and says something along the lines of, you can stop replying all you want. I'm en route, and let Joseph know I'm on the way as well. And at that point, Ida's like, oh, my brother's middle name is Joseph, so she is mad at me and my brother. So she calls her brother up, and she's like, hey, like, why is mom pissed off? She's texting me, like, going off. And her brother's like, I don't know, I just got off the phone with her. Like, she seemed cool to me. So she's like, okay, well, find out for me, basically. So her brother calls her mom, and Ida's just like sitting there trying to figure out what's going on. And her mother also, in that last text message, called her a nasty slut. So at this point, Ida's sitting there and she's kind of like counting through things, and she's like, oh, you know what? My stepdad's name is also Joseph. And then the fact that she called her a nasty slut, she's sitting there like, I know this woman does not think that I am out of town with my stepfather, or that I'm doing anything with that man in the first place. So her brother finally calls back, and he's like, bro, just FaceTime me. And she's like, okay. So she FaceTimes him, and he's like, please tell me. And she looks at him, she's like, please tell me what? That I'm not with our stepfather? That I'm not sleeping with this man? Of course I'm not. I can't even believe you're thinking this. I can't even believe she's thinking this. Like, what is actually going on? He's like, yeah, like, that's what she's like assuming. That's what she told me. So at that point, Ida shows her brother all around the hotel room, shows him that she's with her coworkers. She's nowhere near the stepfather. Come to find out, her oldest sister, which is Ruby's oldest daughter, was in the car with Ruby riding around on her way to where Ida was to inflict harm on her. And she's like, oh, let's call Ida's brother David. So David's on the phone with Ruby, and Ruby's in the car with her eldest daughter, who we're gonna name Esther. So then David ends up asking Esther, like, hey, like, why would you let mom jump in the car and do this? Why would you let her act like this? And Esther's gonna sit there and say, well, you know, it is kind of weird. Like, every time Howard got out of jail, he used Ida's address and stayed with her. So I feel like something something's kind of off. So then David ends up asking his mom, like, what's going on? Like, why would you think this? Like, what makes you even feel like this, right? And his mom is like, well, I've been trying to talk to you for months. I've been trying to like tell you about this for months, and you've been ducking and dodging, telling me you've been out of town. Like, I've been trying to have a conversation with you about this situation. And David's sitting there like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, you have been hitting me up, but like, I'm not understanding where you make this connection. So then David ends up calling back Ida and telling her everything that, you know, Esther and Ruby both told him. And so Ida's sitting there like, first of all, every single time Howard got out of prison and needed a place to stay, he asked me for my address. I, at the time, was always living in affluent neighborhoods. Ever since she left her biological mother's house and was living with her dad, she always lived in affluent parts of the city. And so when he called and asked to use her address, she was like, yeah, of course, I got you. Like, it's no problem at all. So when the PO called to confirm that he was going to be staying with her, she, of course, complied and said, yes, he's going to be staying. But both times that she did that, she stayed somewhere else. She left the key for Howard. He would come in, he would stay at her place, and she would be gone, either at her boyfriend's house or somewhere else. One of the houses that she even let him stay at was like a 4-story house. So she's like, I was never, ever alone with this man. Come to find out, it was Howard and Ruby's child, their youngest child that they had, that had said, oh, Ida and my dad are sleeping together. Why baby girl said that? No clue. Ruby took the word of this child and basically was like, yeah, I believe you. Ida's sleeping with your dad. And so all of this came from that. Chelsea ends up telling Ruby that she saw Howard send a Cash App to Ida with a message that says, I love you, babe, and a bunch of money. And Ida's sitting there like, I've never received a Cash App for this man. Not to mention, I don't even use Cash App during this time. Like, I didn't start using it until way after. So her brother ends up calling and being like, hey, why don't you just send me a screenshot of your Cash App? So she's like, okay, it all fits in one screenshot from 2018 to 2021 because I don't even use this app. So she ends up sending him the screenshot. There's no exchange, no transfer from Howard to her. She's like, you can't delete a transaction on Cash App. If it was ever done, you would see it, right? So again, proving that she never had this interaction. Come to find out, since her stepdad has been out of prison, her mom, Ruby, has been trying to get back with him. And Howard is like, no, I don't want anything to do with you. When I was in jail, when I was locked down, you left me. You left me, you didn't want to be with me anymore, and now that I'm out, you want to pick up where we left off? Absolutely not. And he actually had gotten into another relationship, and he was doing his own thing and moving forward with his life. And Ruby didn't like that. So the only thing that made sense to her for some reason was that Howard was sleeping with Ida. Ida and her brother David end up realizing like, oh, this is actually her just being mad that Howard doesn't want to be with her, and he's moving on, that she's just like projecting this anger towards you. So while David and Ida were on the phone, David ends up realizing Ruby has been hitting him up and asking him for a pew-pew for a few months now. She's been saying, hey, like, leave your pew-pew with me when you go out of town. Like, I got some business I need to handle. I got some personal stuff I need to handle. Leave it with me. And he's just been too busy and not really, like, paying attention to what she's asking. And it's clicking for him now, like, what exactly she wanted to use the pew-pew for. And so he's like telling his sister, like, I'm so sorry, Ida, I can't believe this. And that's when Ida like broke down and she was like, see, I've been trying to tell you, like, this woman has no goodwill towards me. Like, since I was a child, she's treated me like this. And this just finally proves to you and opens your eyes to the completely different polar opposite experience that I've been having with her as my mother, as opposed to you and how your experience has been. And so I think in that sense, she finally was validated and her brother was able to see like, yo, this woman has some problems. And that's when her brother also admitted and said, you know what, like, it makes sense. Like, she's probably jealous of you. You're the younger, more beautiful, more successful version of herself, where she thinks like, had I not done this or that, maybe I would have ended up the way you are, you know? And so he finally acknowledged, like, yeah, our mom is probably jealous of you and does probably want to harm you. And so Ida's crying. She's supposed to be getting ready for a pool party with her coworker. She's breaking down in front of her. So she ends up being like, you know what? I'm getting off this call. I'm going to go have fun. I'm going to get drunk. Forget about it. So she goes on with her night. So when Ida got back in town, she ended up finding out that her mother was spewing all types of rumors all over her side of the family. She was telling anybody that was willing to listen that Ida was sleeping with Howard. And even her older cousin ended up hitting her up and being like, hey girl, your mom's talking shit. This is what she's saying, da 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 da. And Ruby's like, you know what? I'm done. Like, if people want to believe that, they want to believe that. I know what the truth is. That's all I care about. She's like, I'm over it. At this time, too, Ida had gotten a new car because she was working at that car dealership. So she thought she was good. She was like, my mom doesn't know what I drive. I should be fine. But remember, she does live down the street from her. So one day she's going home from work and she's like pulling up to her house and she looks and her mom's car is parked in front and her mom's outside of her apartment walking around smoking a cigarette. So Ida's like, absolutely not. She jets off. She's like, I'm out of here. She ends up calling her boyfriend and being like, hey, I'm on my way to you. My mom's outside and I really feel like she's come over here to harm me. At the time, is not taking her seriously. He's like, yeah, okay. Like, she's like, no, I'm serious. Come to find out, the only reason Ruby found out Ida was out of town was because she ended up being on the phone with Ida's friend who was babysitting her dog for her. And she ended up mentioning like, yeah, Ida's out of town. And Ruby was like, oh, she's out of town? She's out of town with Howard. After that call with the friend that was dog sitting, that's when her mom started calling her while she was on the trip and blowing her up. Ida's stepfather, Howard, ended up reaching out to Ida and being like, hey girl, like, I'm so sorry that this is happening. Like, I do not understand why she's acting like this. This has nothing to do with you. Ida's like, yeah, I don't know why this woman is treating me like this. Like, I didn't do anything to her. Me and you have never had any type of dealings in that sort. Like, I don't know where she's getting this idea from. And Howard's just telling her, like, I'm sorry. They're both crying on the phone. And he's telling her, like, I understand if you need to, like, you know, keep space for me if I can't stay at your place when I'm, like, in and out of jail. Like, I completely understand. You have to do what you need to do to protect yourself. And in that conversation, Howard admits, I'm not getting back with Ruby for reasons of my own. That has nothing to do with you. Howard also tells Ida that he's been sending her birthday gifts the entire time while he was gone. Ida's sitting there like, I haven't gotten a card from you since I was 6 years old. They were both shocked to realize that Ruby was obviously stopping communication between the two of them. Later on, Ida does call her biological father and tell him all about this and how basically Ruby tried to harm Ida over a rumor thinking that she slept with her stepfather after hearing it from her youngest child. Her dad was like, there's no way. And Ida's sitting there like, yeah, that's literally what just happened. And her dad's like, see, this is why I had to get the hell away from her. This is exactly why. Her biological dad tells her like, hey, you can call the cops, you can report this, you can also come and stay with me because you know she's not allowed in this neighborhood. So like, do what you think you need to do in order to continue feeling safe. Since that happened in 2021, she has not spoken to her biological mother, Ruby. She hasn't spoken to any of her sisters that were involved in that situation. She does not speak to them. And she also knows that any chance that those sisters have to be able to drag her, talk shit about her, they're gonna take it. So she's like, good riddance. I don't need you in my space. I rather, you know, protect my mental health, protect my emotional health, and not, you know, be subject to things like that. I'm proud of you, girl. Like, I know cutting off people, especially family, is so difficult, but sometimes you have to do that and you have to set those boundaries in order to do what's best for you. Ida, I'm wishing you the best. I'm so sorry that this has to be a part of your story. I hope that you continue to thrive and make the best decisions for yourself. Outside of that, make sure you guys send her a lot of love. You guys tagged me in this a bunch. I wanted to make sure I got it out to you guys. I appreciate you guys as always. Here is this just in case. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 25 or so days. Hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.
I can't believe that a mother would think that her daughter would sleep with her stepdad. Like, that's nasty. Second of all, she's like she's crazy to think that her daughter gonna do something like that. She doesn't think like that. And for her mom to just be thinking about unaliving her over it is crazy. But, you know, I hope she's fine and I hope everything's better. And I hope she got away from her and she's safer now. But more videos are on the way. This is Life with Shauna Renee, and I'm out. Bye.